Have you ever felt like you were born for something greater, but the world keeps telling you to play small? If that question sent chills down your spine, then listen closely. You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. Welcome to the chosen path, where only the few, the awakened, the rarest souls come to remember who they truly are. In this episode, we're revealing the 10 unmistakable signs that separate ordinary lives from Omega-level chosen ones. These signs aren't common. They're sacred. If even one of them lives inside you, your destiny is not just different. It's divine. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear might explain everything you've ever questioned about yourself. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're just chosen. Let's begin. You always felt a storm inside you. Not the destructive kind, but the one that refuses to stay still. While others accept things as they are, you constantly question why they are that way. You can't help it. Something in you rejects comfort zones, average thinking, and superficial living. That inner fire? It's your first signal. Most people live on autopilot. You were born to disrupt the system. No one had to tell you you're different. You knew. Even before you had words for it, you could feel the gap between your thoughts and theirs. You asked bigger questions. You saw patterns where others saw chaos. You didn't crave toys. You craved meaning. That awareness made you a target early on, but also gifted you with wisdom far beyond your age. That's not coincidence. It's cosmic design. You've always struggled to fit in because you were never meant to. The discomfort you feel in shallow conversations, the irritation with fake smiles, it's all your soul rejecting the simulation. While the world teaches conformity, your essence fights for authenticity. You're not broken. You're just tuned into a deeper frequency. And that frequency doesn't play background music. It commands attention. Even in your silence, you've noticed how people react to your presence. They shift. They observe. Some even project their own insecurities onto you. Why? Because chosen ones carry energy that disturbs comfort zones. You don't even have to speak. The way you walk, breathe, and observe makes people uncomfortable. Not because you're wrong, but because your presence reflects the truth they're running from. Everything in your life has been preparing you for something bigger. The heartbreaks, the betrayals, the isolation. All of it carved depth into you. While others were protected from pain, you were forged in it. That's why your perspective is rare. Your strength is quiet but unshakable. And that's the difference between those who are chosen and those who are still asleep. You hear things differently, not just with your ears, but with your soul. While most people need explanations, you catch the message behind the silence. You walk into a room and instantly feel who's lying, who's broken, and who's pretending. It's not imagination, it's intuitive intelligence. Omega-level chosen ones don't guess. They sense, they know, and they rarely miss. You often feel drained after being around too many people. Not because you're antisocial, but because you absorb the unseen. Emotions, intentions, energies, they stick to you. This heightened perception isn't a weakness. It's a spiritual filter. You see what's hidden, even when people try to mask it with charm or noise. Most can't handle that kind of clarity, but you were built for it. Dreams, gut feelings, and synchronicities guide you more than logic. While others rely solely on facts, you navigate using alignment. You've avoided disasters simply by trusting that unexplainable pull. You may not always understand it in the moment, but later, the truth reveals itself. Again and again, you've been proven right. That's not luck. That's divine direction. You don't need someone to tell you who to trust. You already feel it. One glance, one handshake, one conversation is enough. You've walked away from opportunities, relationships, and even money, because something felt off. That inner compass is not common. It's sacred, and it only gets stronger the more you honor it. Most people ignore their intuition. Chosen ones sharpen it. There have been moments when you doubted yourself, moments when you thought, why do I feel so much? But those emotions, those downloads, that sensitivity, it's your radar. You were never meant to walk blindly. The universe gave you extra vision. Omega-level chosen ones don't just react to life. They read it. And that changes everything. You walk into a room, and suddenly the energy shifts. No words, no actions, just your presence. Some people look away. Others become nervous or overly reactive. It's not because you've done anything wrong. It's because your energy speaks volumes. Chosen ones carry a vibration that pierces through illusions, and when that vibration meets unhealed souls, it exposes what they try so hard to hide. You may have noticed that strangers either gravitate toward you or get defensive around you. There is rarely a neutral reaction. That's because your aura is confrontational to the fake, but magnetic to the truth seekers. You were never meant to blend in quietly. Your presence awakens, irritates, activates, or elevates, depending on who's watching. You're not just a person, you're a mirror, and not everyone is ready to see their reflection. Even in relationships, you've seen it. People love you deeply, or fear you silently. Sometimes both, because you don't just interact with others, you feel them. You read the space between their words, the pain behind their smiles. You know when someone's lying to you, and worse, when they're lying to themselves. That makes you powerful. And power, even silent power, intimidates the unstable. Your ability to remain calm while others panic is another trigger. When chaos hits, you don't flinch. You watch. You assess. You respond. That emotional self-control doesn't go unnoticed. It makes others question their own reactions. And when someone's identity is built on drama, your peace feels like a threat. But that's not your burden. That's their battlefield. Most people spend their lives trying to impress, belong, or be seen. You don't, and that alone is disruptive. You've realized that validation is cheap when it costs you your truth. So you move differently. Speak less. Watch more. That quiet strength, it's not just noticed. It's unforgettable. Omega-level chosen ones don't need to be loud. They are the frequency. Life didn't go easy on you. And now you understand why. You were never meant to be soft clay. You were meant to be tempered steel. From betrayal to abandonment, from failure to false friendships, you've seen the worst of human nature. But instead of breaking, you evolved. Every attack refined your spirit. Every wound taught you what strength really means. You didn't just survive, you transformed. While others crumbled under pressure, you learned how to breathe through it. The pain gave you perspective. The silence taught you truth. And through it all, you realized you're not a victim. You're a warrior with scars as proof of your endurance. You stopped asking, why me, and started asking, what's next? That's the shift. You've been targeted not because you were weak, but because you were dangerous to the system. Darkness doesn't attack what's already lost. It goes after the light that threatens to expose it. You were chosen because your light is disruptive, not decorative. The resistance you've faced is the receipt of your purpose. Only the rarest are tested this way. Sometimes it felt unfair. the loneliness, the battles, the betrayal from those closest to you. But now, looking back, you understand. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Your heart was being trained for leadership. Your spirit was being armored for legacy. Every loss carved space for wisdom. Every delay restructured your destiny. The truth is, you've been in training for a war you didn't know existed. And you're still here. Stronger, wiser, sharper. That's not luck. That's alignment. Omega-level chosen ones don't rise easily. They rise relentlessly. And the higher you go, the more they'll come for you. But they won't find the same person they once hurt. You've become untouchable. You never settle for surface answers. While others avoid hard truths to protect their comfort, you dive straight into the fire. You don't fear the truth. You crave it, even when it breaks your illusions, even when it hurts your ego. That hunger for reality is rare. It's the soul's rebellion against the matrix of lies. You'd rather face the storm than live a beautiful lie. That's not weakness. That's the path of the chosen. You question everything, not to be difficult, but because you feel there's always more behind the curtain. You don't accept things at face value. Whether it's religion, politics, relationships, or your own past, you dissect it all. That depth makes you dangerous to manipulators and liberating to seekers. You weren't born to obey. You were born to see. And seeing clearly means leaving behind what everyone else clings to. Most people fear losing their illusions. You fear living in one. That's the difference. You've walked away from fake friendships, walked out of systems that lied to you, and destroyed versions of yourself that were built just to please others. And it wasn't easy. But each time, the truth rewarded you. With freedom, with peace, with power. Because the truth doesn't just hurt. It heals. You recognize the masks people wear. You see the performance, the editing, the carefully curated version of their lives. But instead of judging, you just observe. Because you've worn masks too, and ripped them off. And that's what gives your insight depth. You've been in the darkness. You've played roles. But you return to the truth, because lies felt suffocating. Oxygen lives in authenticity. What makes you rare isn't your ability to tolerate truth. It's your willingness to act on it, to change when others stay stuck, to walk alone when others follow blindly, to admit when you were wrong and evolve. Truth isn't just something you seek. It's something you become. And that transformation, it's what separates ordinary survivors from chosen ones who reshape reality. You've always sensed things others don't. You can feel when something's off, before a word is spoken. It's like your body reacts to energy before your mind catches up. A chill down your spine, a knot in your gut, an electric tingle in your skin. It's not paranoia. It's perception. Your intuition isn't a tool. It's a language. And you speak it fluently. You've predicted people's betrayals before they happened. You've dreamt of events before they unfolded. You've walked away from situations you couldn't explain, only to later realize they would have destroyed you. That's not coincidence. That's divine protection flowing through your instincts. Chosen ones aren't just aware. They're wired to navigate through signals others miss. You often know what someone's going to say before they say it. You read people instantly. A micro-expression, a tone shift, a delay in their answer. You catch it all. It's exhausting at times, because you wish you could unsee it, but you can't. Your spirit is tuned to higher frequencies. It doesn't allow ignorance. It demands awareness. even when it hurts. You've probably been called too sensitive or overthinking more times than you can count, but those labels are only used by those who can't comprehend your gift. You weren't made to be numb. You were made to feel deeply because your mission requires clarity beyond logic. Your sensitivity isn't a flaw. It's your armor. It protects you from unseen traps. It guides you toward divine timing. With time, you've stopped ignoring that inner voice. You've learned that when you go against your intuition, chaos follows. But when you trust it, things align, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment. That's wisdom. Omega-level chosen ones move through this world not by sight, but by vision. And that inner compass, it always points to truth, power, and purpose. You've always felt like the outsider. In your family, at school, in jobs or social groups, something about you just didn't match the crowd. No matter how hard you tried to blend in, something pulled you out. It wasn't rejection. It was redirection. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out. Chosen ones don't follow the herd. They walk alone because they're being led by something higher. People have often misunderstood you. They couldn't decode your silence, your depth, or your intensity. While others talked about the weather, you were analyzing the storm. You weren't interested in gossip or shallow approval. You wanted meaning. And that makes people uncomfortable. Not because you're wrong, but because you remind them of everything they've ignored within themselves. You've been blamed for being too much or too different. But what they didn't understand is that your difference was your design. The way you think, feel, question, detach, it's all part of a higher wiring. You weren't born to reflect the world around you. You were born to reflect truth, even when it shakes foundations. The black sheep isn't broken. It's chosen. There were moments when loneliness became your only companion, but even then, you weren't truly alone. Something inside you kept whispering, "Keep going." You learned to survive in isolation, and in doing so, you became unshakable. While others needed approval to exist, you discovered your identity in the wilderness, and that wilderness became your training ground. Now, looking back, you understand. Every rejection was a form of protection. Every room you were pushed out of wasn't aligned with your frequency. You were never meant to be liked by everyone. You were meant to be recognized by the few who carry the same fire. The chosen ones don't chase belonging. They carry it within them, and that's what makes them untouchable. There's a strange pull inside you, a craving for solitude, not to escape the world, but to reconnect with something greater. While others chase noise, you seek silence, because in silence you hear the whispers, the guidance, the alignment. You've learned that your power isn't in crowds, it's in stillness. Omega-level chosen ones don't fear being alone. They require it to stay aligned. You often step back from social scenes, not because you're cold, but because you're sensitive to energy. After too much stimulation, you need to cleanse. You process conversations, read between lines, and carry the emotional weight of others. That level of awareness needs recovery, so you retreat. Not in weakness, but in wisdom. Your solitude is your sanctuary, and yet, even when you're alone, you don't feel lonely. There's a presence with you. Maybe you call it God, the universe, your higher self or ancestral energy, but you feel it. In dreams, in signs, in sudden clarity. The world may forget you exist for a while, but the divine never does. That's the paradox of being chosen. You walk alone, yet you're always guided. In your quiet moments, revelations come. Solutions appear. Peace returns. You don't need permission, applause, or constant connection. You just need space to breathe and remember who you are. While others recharge through distraction, you recharge through alignment. That's the signature of a soul on a sacred mission. And you've learned to honor that rhythm. Your isolation was never punishment. It was initiation. The time you spent in silence, away from the noise, built your inner clarity. You've emerged from the quiet, not weaker, but sharper. Now, you recognize that those who fear being alone often fear facing themselves. But you faced your darkness, embraced your light, and returned with wisdom. That's the chosen path. You've been knocked down more times than you can count. Life tested you early and often. While others seemed to have an easier path, yours felt like a battlefield. But somehow, you kept getting back up. Not because you had all the answers, but because something deep inside you refused to stay down. That fire, that's the mark of a chosen one. It's not about being perfect. It's about being unbreakable. Every setback taught you something. You didn't just survive. You studied your pain. You learned who was real when you were at your lowest. You learned how to rebuild from nothing. And most importantly, you learned that your value doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from your spirit. Others may have quit after the first fall, but you rose again, stronger each time. People have seen your strength, but they have no idea what it cost you. The nights you cried in silence, the days you showed up with a brave face while carrying invisible wounds. But now, you wear those scars like armor. You've built resilience not from comfort, but from fire. And because of that, no storm can shake you anymore. Every time someone underestimated you, they fueled your evolution. You took rejection and turned it into redirection. You turned heartbreak into healing. Where others saw the end, you saw a door. That ability to transmute pain into purpose, that's alchemy. And only the rarest souls know how to do it. That's why they can't understand your glow. It came from darkness they never survived. Now, when adversity shows up, you don't flinch. You've danced with pain. You've befriended failure. And you've come out on the other side with vision, wisdom, and strength. You no longer fear falling because you've learned how to fly through it. The world may not applaud your resilience, but the universe rewards it. And that's why you're rising. Again, always. If you've made it this far, it's not because you were entertained. It's because something in this message spoke to you. You didn't just hear these signs. You felt them. In your bones. In your heart. In your memories. Maybe you've always known you were different. Maybe you've tried to silence that voice inside you, but now, you can't unsee the truth. You were never ordinary. You were never meant to be invisible. You were chosen for something bigger than comfort, louder than fear, and deeper than logic. Now, I want to hear from you. Which part of this message hit you the hardest? Which sign do you recognize in yourself that you've ignored for too long? If you're one of the rare ones walking the chosen path, drop those 3 words in the comments right now. The chosen path. So I know you're awake, aware, and ready to rise. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with another soul who needs this message. You're not alone anymore. The path has been waiting for you. Until next time, walk boldly. Live truthfully. Rise unapologetically.